Oh yeah, baby, I got some delicious cheesecake for you today. A little key lime cheesecake to put a little twist on the traditional cheesecake. Let's get in the kitchen and let's get started. So the first thing you're gonna need is one sleeve of graham crackers. All right, that's about 8 graham crackers. All right, you want to break them up, put them into a food processor, and then you want to give it a slight little pulse just so you can begin to break it down. If you use a big one, you don't have to do it in so many sections like I did. Go ahead on and add your sugar and then pulse it down until you got a nice fine crumb. Once you got that nice fine crumb, you're going to take your melted butter and you're going to put that butter all over it. All right, then you're going to go ahead on and just give it a couple of pulses, maybe like 1 or 2. It's not going to take a long time for it to come together. Once it comes together, you can squeeze it in your hand and it should hold the crust pretty solid. Then you want to take some more melted butter and you want to go ahead on and just splash it all around all of the crevices of your spring form pan. All right, this is an 8-inch, but you can also use a 9-inch for this recipe. Take your graham cracker crumbs and put it into your buttered springform pan, and then this is where the fun comes in. You want to go ahead on and just evenly spread this crust along the sides. I like to go along the sides just to build my base, and then I start to use the excess crumbs, as you can see, that's going up, to use it as a higher border for the rest of my cheesecake. Go ahead on and just use your eyes to make sure that everything is nice and even. But if you want, you can use the bottom of a glass to go ahead on and make sure that this is intact and everything is nice and flat. All right, now what we're going to do is pop this into our 325-degree oven for about 13 minutes, and after it comes out, we're going to let it cool for 10 minutes. I prefer that you put it on a baking sheet because you're going to use this baking sheet later once you finish making your cream cheese base. Now we're going to take our cream cheese and add that to our mixing bowl, and then we're going to also take some sour cream. I like to use my stand mixer, my hand mixer, so it doesn't take all day to actually whip by hand. And I would get this thing cranked up if I had it plugged in. Don't you just hate when that happens? So now that it's plugged in, let's go ahead on and whip this bad boy up. All right, and now we're going to mix the cream cheese and sour cream on low for 1 minute. After that minute finished going through, now it's time to stop it, and we're going to add our sugar. Oh yeah, all that good sugar and some salt, and then we're going to go ahead on and mix it on low for another minute. The key to a good cheesecake is just taking your time when you're incorporating your ingredients into your cream cheese. All right, now we're going to add our lime juice. I squeeze 14 key limes for y'all to make this recipe. All right, and some vanilla. All right, add that to it, and then we're going to go ahead on and mix that on low for another minute. All right, and after you finish this, then you want to scrape down the sides of your bowls, and we're going to add 6 eggs in it, but we're going to add them 2 at a time. All right, and while you're mixing your eggs, you're going to mix them on low for 1 minute. All right, do you see the theme? Mix it for 1 minute on low. All right, so after you get all your eggs incorporated, your batter should be nice and smooth and silky. Then you're just going to go ahead on and pour this into your springform pan all over your crust. All right, now you're going to pop this into a 425-degree oven for 10 minutes. Then you're going to reduce the temperature down to 200 degrees for 1 hour and 20 minutes. All right, but while that's in the oven, let's make our topping. So I'm going to take the zest of 2 key limes with some sour cream, whip that on up together, and then we're going to set that to the side for later. All right, we got the time, we might as well get it over with. So after our cheesecake comes out, we can test it with an instant read thermometer. It should come up to 150 degrees Fahrenheit. All right, once you do that, it'll be good. Or you can give it a little wiggle test. You see that little wiggle? That's a good sign. We're going to let it cool for 3 hours, all right, at room temperature. After it cools for 3 hours, you'll start to notice that the cheesecake is separating slightly from the springform pan. We're going to use a knife to help it come apart a little bit easier. Then we're going to go ahead on and add our sour cream and lime zest mixture and spread that evenly across the top. And then we're going to go ahead and just use some spring form, Lord. Then we're going to use some cling wrap. You do not want to use foil because the acid in the lime zest will begin to have an acidic reaction with the foil and leak into your cheesecake, and that's no bueno. Pop that in the fridge overnight and then let your cheesecake sit out for 15 minutes before you slice into it, okay? So after you unmask it from the plastic wrap, I like to always use something sturdy just to do this little trick. You can use glass, you can use your hand, but for the sake of this video, I'm gonna do this sexy shot right here. Look at how beautiful that cheesecake looks. Deliciousness right there. Always dump your, have a knife and dip it into a warm water. This helps keep the cheesecake from sticking to your knife as you slice it through nice and succulently. And it calls for a cleaner cut, okay? That's what you want. It's a little bit tedious, but I guarantee the final results are worth it. And speaking of final results, let's get this cheesecake out. I like to always use a pie knife because everything else just is not as reliable, all right? And then the great reveal. This key lime cheesecake is so succulent, so light, so delicious. It will just melt into your mouth. Look at how easy that cuts, all right? You can find a recipe link down below or go to KennethTemple.com for more of this pure deliciousness. And I'll see y'all later, baby.